have it create a sustainable loop. So in order to do that, we kind of have to get out of this mindset that a website is really only at that top of the flywheel, at the attract visitors and then convert leads stages, where it kind of sits at the top, because that's definitely what it can seem at surface level. Definitely for those more like sales, CRM oriented finance folks in your business, they can kind of assume a website's really just there for that. But there's so much more that you can build a case for your website to drive the growth of your company. And that's in the engage phase. That's building educational centers like knowledge bases. If you know, HubSpot has a huge knowledge base, sales enablement tools, FAQs, ebooks, things like that, even onboarding, more of that interaction piece with customers. And then an advocacy program is that delight phase, ensuring that your customers are happy enough that they give back to you. So it's really all those case study pages that you see on a lot of websites, and specifically in HubSpot's as well. So ultimately, when building that case for your website, you really want to put your product, your services, all of that in designing your website actually to the back, and really put your customer journey first. And that's where we lean into this idea of growth-driven design. So like I said, HubSpot CMS is my favorite for so many reasons, but for the reasons that it's just so easy for me as not such a tech-savvy developer to go in and make updates and make changes depending on a pivot in my business, depending on the landscape, the environment that's going on right now. It's so easy to make those changes and iterate. And that's the idea behind growth-driven design. So if you could think about maybe last time you were involved with, or your company went through a website redesign, and just kind of describe the overall experience, what went right, what went wrong, did it go out on time? I don't know about you, but anytime a past website redesign, like the one that comes to mind for me was on Drupal, and it was just a disaster. It makes me cringe to think about it, just how we thought we were so ready for launch. Everything went into production and it just didn't jive. So many things got backed up. And it was because we were using a traditional way of designing a website. The full plan is laid out. We have a timeline. We create everything kind of in one fell swoop and then hopefully go live. That is not the best way to think about designing a website now. There's this model called growth-driven design. So what it is a smarter approach to website design that eliminates all the headaches and drives optimal results. The idea is that you have this iteration and pauses to look back and see the performance of the small changes that you make and update them in real time versus waiting for the entire website to be done and then go back and see the performance and make changes. So really the crux behind it is you're continually learning, iterating, and improving, and you actually are working very tightly and integrated with your sales team, with your finance team. It's all really a connected approach, and that is something that is actually ongoing. It's not just one time and done. So this is actually a scary statistic we marketers see, where 42% of marketers only make impactful improvements to their website once per year. That is actually scary to hear now, just thinking about the environments that we live in, the changes to algorithms. There should be an easy CMS that makes changes as needed, depending on what your business needs are at the time, what the economy looks like at the time. So in comparison, traditional web design is high risk and the results are unpredictable because you don't have that iteration approach. GDD, like it's called, is a smarter approach. You launch quick improvements and you optimize results and make changes over time based on the data that you're seeing. So just in talking about that data behind the growth-driven design versus traditional websites, you can see that agencies report are pretty good, about 17% more leads and 11% more revenue in just the first 6 months of a website relaunch compared to traditional web design. It's a smarter approach. In the first month, if you're not getting the leads that you were set out to get, you can easily go in and make the changes. And that's how HubSpot was built for. It was built for agencies and consumers and marketers and developers to be able to implement growth-driven design in all their website relaunches. So finally, why HubSpot CMS? I mean, really, it boils down to kind of everything I was just referring to around the ease of use, the ability to update, the ability to iterate based on consumer demands about your customer's experience, the ability to easily see data and see what's working, what's not, and then make changes. So that's why I love it. I would say like that's the number one reason, along with a host of others. Ultimately, as you can see, a couple other pieces on the left, on the right, the flexibility for marketers. I think most of us are marketers on this call. It's just so much easier to go in and make the changes. You don't have to get approval. You don't have to request through your developer, open Jira tickets. It's really easy if there's a small fix that you need to make, because you know your consumer so well, you can go in and make it. Security is built in and taken care of. Again, you can constantly optimize. You have the architecting experience that you want. Your developers can make the designs that they need to do. And of course, adapting your customers. And then the investment that this is a growth opportunity. I think one of the big financial costs of a company in a year can be a full website overhaul. But the ROI that you get from it is, doing it right, using GDD and a CMS like HubSpot is definitely worthwhile. We like to say that HubSpot CMS is in this sweet spot where developers have the tools that they need to create secure, well-built pages, well-built templates and websites. And then the marketers have that ease and flexibility to make changes, make updates, and manage the pages on their own. So they're a little bit independent from the developers and really can take control of their site. I'm just gonna check. Great. Okay, so before the demo, I'm gonna go through a couple pages of the specific tools that I've been calling out, and then I'll show you the demo and go through them, and you can see how it actually works. So I think the biggest attribute to HubSpot CMS, especially for marketers, is something called flexible themes. So you can think of themes almost as like a folder of all the data that you need for a page, the HTML files, CSS, JavaScript, all created together in a series of different templates that you can use, that your developers create. Then you can go in and choose the actual theme you want to leverage, and all the templates are already pre-built for you, but then you also have the flexibility to update those individual templates, and even the theme that your developers created using all that code, you have some ability to make changes to that as well. Drag and drop editing, that little image is not showing here, but I will definitely show you in the demo of how you can easily move modules in, take modules out, resize looks and feels of your site and your pages, the text, images, everything. SEO optimization, huge part of a website. There are so many built-in tools and recommendations right there for you in the CMS Hub. Adaptive page testing, so this is like A/B testing, but for up to 5 pages. I'm sure you're familiar with A/B testing. Send 2 variations. There's a winner. Then you use that one. Adaptive testing is up to 5 variations. And actually, HubSpot AI will choose the best winning page for you, and then immediately push that page to future visitors. So again, do the upfront work, and then it's taken care of for you. Multi-language content. It has become extremely simple with a couple drop downs you can see here, and I'll show you, to create a page in multiple languages. So there's no more making one template and cloning it 15 times and then translating the language. You can have one page, set them each up for a different language. The translation is something has to happen externally, but it makes it a lot easier to manage your site. Dynamic content with HubDB. It's a little bit more technical, but again, still easy for a marketer. I won't get to today, but if you've ever seen like a fitness scheduling page on a website, or like a bank with a lot of different locations using Google Maps, those columns are very easily available for you to add onto a page, whereas it's something that is very hard to hard code in to other websites that aren't built on a pretty advanced CMS platform. So with that, I will switch gears, move to my other screen for a demo, and go through all those specific tools. All right, so if folks on here have not seen a HubSpot portal before, this is what it looks like. We are on the website section of it. And just with a couple drop downs, we can get here under the marketing tab, and we're gonna create a web page. So we'll just go and click create website pages. And it's as easy as that, where you have a bunch of options to choose from. As I mentioned, these are the themes. So for example, HubSpot has some existing themes already set up in a portal for you, and you can choose from that. And then you can manipulate it to add your branding, your colors, your design. or you would typically have a developer build the templates for you with all your designs and then hand it over kind of like this, and then you have control of it. But for the case of this demo, we're going to choose this first one, Rally theme. So as you can see, when you open a theme, it gives you the options for all these different types of pages. So right now we only have 6 types of pages. I've seen theme collections with like 30 different types of pages. It's as many as you need or your developer creates, and they can be titled certain things. So like a pricing page like this can be used with HubDB, but we'll start with a simple home page. So I'll click this, and actually I already started this, so I'll move into an editor page. So right when you click that, you'll get to this editor page right here. So this is what it looks like for the marketer that decided on a template and wants to make adjustments. As you can see, it's very easy, clickable, things pop out for you. It's, I think, very user-friendly to see exactly what you want to change. Almost like Microsoft Word, you can change the text, the font, all available for you here. I know sometimes I've had to go into CSS code files and change the font or change the size and save it down, make a copy. It's just wild how it's so easy and doable right here. So if I wanted to just bold this, make it underline, all available, very easy for you there. This button, buttons, I don't know if you know, are pretty hard to style and get changed if needed, but right here you can make it smaller, much smaller. You can have a different type of button, but we'll leave it, let's leave it there, make it a bit bigger. Great. So you can make all these changes here. I love this dynamic element. So like if I want to delete one of these modules, the other modules automatically get bigger. Like that's kind of unheard of in a marketer's view of a website and trying to edit a page. If you deleted a column in Drupal, you had to update all the other columns to align. But right here, it's extremely dynamic. So this is all pre-built for you. Again, we can make changes, we can update things. We can change the style, so the colors, any box that you get here. We can look at the specific styling, the colors, the text that's included in these modules. Again, very easy. I also want to demonstrate smart content. So this is the piece that is super easy to help your pages be as hyper-targeted and customizable to their audience. So for example, we have some text here. On this left pane, you can see add a smart rule. So I can actually change the content depending on some attributes of the visitors to my site. If they came from a specific ad, if they're on a specific list from a country, the referral, the device type even, I can serve them different content. Again, very, very useful. If you have a page that's being promoted in a few different ads, someone that comes from Facebook might get a little bit something different from someone that comes from a Google ad. So really great. The adaptive testing that you saw, this is located up here. If you were to run a test, it's super easy. Again, you have the A/B option, but if you did an adaptive test, what this will do is however many variations you want, it will actually just clone the page, and then you'll have the ability to make the variations on page B or C just by toggling when on the editor after you create the variation. So I can do a quick test, and we'll create a variation. So right now I'm on variation B editing, but then I can go back to the original one and edit the original one. That simple, all done from here. So there's a couple features you might notice here that it looks like it's a little bit hard to change. Like every website has a header and a navigation bar. So when you download a theme, this pulls in the nav that is default in your HubSpot portal. This in other CMSs I know is something that developers will have to change across an entire site, and something that's a huge ask to say, let's change the footer, let's change the header. But obviously it looks a little awkward to have this type of logo on this header with a dark background. So I kind of want to change it. So with that, you'll have the option to edit in a global content editor. So what this means is actually going to change the header across the entire theme. So once you want to change it on one page, it'll actually change for the entire set. So you don't have to do it again for every page. So for example, I want to change this image. So it's going to exactly take me to where this image sits in my account and let me change it here. So let me do that. I actually have a better better image already in the portal. It just has a white logo. So I'll save that. I'll go back here. I'll refresh. And there it is. That's the better looking logo. That easy, and now let's change across all themes. So I believe that was the most of it. That's usually what all I need to do when I download a theme and make some changes like that. Those can all be updated, those images, very easy, as you can see. The testimonials, you can delete them, edit the specific one, add a new one. So all these can be changed. And this is like a carousel, something that you'd think is very hard to update and hard to change, but not here. Okay. So with that demo, I wanted to move into the SEO and content optimization options you'll have in the portal. So I'll go through it a little bit more here. We'll head back into the portal for a demo of it. But ultimately, there's OnPage SEO and then technical SEO, which I'll go over next. OnPage SEO is extremely important. It's something that if you've ever ran your page through Google Page Speed Insights and seen like what images aren't downloading, exactly what CSS files aren't minifying, some terms that not everyone is always familiar with. Luckily, OnPage SEO, all that is built into HubSpot CMS, and it serves you up recommendations for all your pages. So like making sure all the image alt text is there, the metadata. So I'll show you that in a moment. But ultimately, it's all in one spot. You don't have to go from editing your web page to then running it through Google Page Insights and seeing what the SEO optimization options are. Technical SEO is highly technical. This is everything that's happening in the background for load performance and rendering, so essentially like page speed. So if you ever ran your website through a grader, I know HubSpot has a website grader, and you get a score of how fast your website was able to download everything and serve up the content to the user. Luckily, all that is taken care of for you in the back end in the HubSpot CMS. There's a couple tools here that typically a developer would have to optimize for you. In too much detail, they are highly technical, but like the minification, like I said, combining files, AMP is the mobile responsiveness. That is something that HubSpot built into the CMS, so it's handled for you in the back end. You really don't have to worry about it. Obviously, there is some upkeep, but it's all handled for you. So let me go back to the demo page and show you some of those on-page SEO recommendations. So we're back to our editor. And like I said, typically I can publish this page and a year from now run my website through Google Page Insights and then see all these SEO things that I had missed. And that could be a lot after a year of publishing pages, going back through every page, finding all the needs. But right here, actually, we have an optimized tab. So for every page you're publishing, right here, HubSpot on the left gives you the recommendations and what's missing on your page to optimize for SEO. Making sure all the images have alt text. It actually points out exactly the PNG, exactly all the images that are missing alt text, the meta descriptions, the headers, and then it's a recommendation for outbound links, which is just a general SEO recommendation. So all that is available on the page for you, which is sometimes like, it's kind of an all-in-one. That's why I love the CMS so much. I have not yet had to leave HubSpot portal, and I've already done so many things. Even beyond that, we do have a separate SEO tool, so I'll move over there. Again, it's in a different place, but still in the HubSpot portal, but it's almost like Google Page Insights, but built into HubSpot. So it's like a scanner. You can scan our URL and then click View the Recommendations, and HubSpot will pull out the specific recommendations, a link to learn more about them, and the specific pages affected. So right from here, you can go to every individual page and make the updates, make the necessary updates needed. Even better, in line with that growth-driven mindset, I don't know if everyone knows here, but Google in May, this May actually released an algorithm update, and they always release algorithm updates, but this one is a little bit more, I would say, had a little bit more of an impact on the industry. So they said they're actually giving more weight to these things called Core Web Vitals, which is really focused on the user experience, which clearly we're in this evolution of the site where that is first and foremost. So what HubSpot did is actually put those SEO recommendations in the forefront in terms of performance, security, and user experience. And so now that's built in directly to surface the recommendations related to this new Google algorithm change. So that's all here for you. Okay, moving back to our slides, sticking on the SEO front a little bit more. A question I want to pose out to the room again is, what actual website, like New York Times or something that is, you know, a real website, what do you consider might be the best performing website, the highest ranked, best SEO right now? I mean, there could be loads, but I'm just curious. Let me look at the chat for a minute. Right, Amazon. Definitely, first thing comes to mind, Chloe. Yeah, things like Amazon, I like to say New York Times, Washington Post, have really good SEO. They're usually at the top of Google when you're searching for something, but there is actually a right answer, probably depending who you ask, but the best performing website is actually Wikipedia. So it might surprise us a lot because you're thinking, Wikipedia, like that is such an ugly page. There's so many links, there's so much text. But actually, Wikipedia is following all the standard SEO guidelines in the industry. It's optimizing for topic searches. So if I search really anything like a question, you know, when was Abraham Lincoln born? It's Wikipedia is the first thing that comes up to answer that question. And it really goes to show that ultimately, you could have the most beautiful website. You could have the best CMS platform. But if your SEO is not sound in terms of hearing what your users are talking about and presenting to them what they're searching for, then your SEO you're not going to be ranked as high. So it always comes down to just like providing content your consumers are looking for. There was a session we had in our inbound conference last year. It was titled Why Technical SEO is Dead. And that just like threw me off because I had just spent like years trying to learn this stuff and become an expert in SEO and web optimization. And now you're telling me like none of that kind of really matters. And of course you get to the session and it's just, you know, it was really just the title. But the goal was that because you have such a good peak performing website, you are so much more in tune with what your users are engaging with and what they aren't, that you could develop better content and iterate on your site to be the Wikipedia, to be the number one thing that when one of your users search for a question and they're looking for a solution for the problem that you exactly are trying to solve for, that you rank as high as Wikipedia. So a couple things that CMS Hub can help you with that. Really, it takes that flywheel, that holistic approach to your business and to your consumers. Ultimately, like I said, CMS Hub comes with the free CRM and marketing capabilities along with it. You, of course, can enhance and add on to them with some of our other tiers and our other services. But the idea is that you have so much rich data that your CMS is built on that you have the capability to create the best content and the best user experience and rank as highly. We also integrate with so many different apps, so everything is working in unison. Common ones are like Eventbrite or Stripe. So your users never have to like veer off from your website. They can also have that one-stop user experience that Ryan Howard was talking about. And finally, that CRM data, that user data, that it's almost like creepy to an extent. I'll show you in a minute, looking at a specific user in the HubSpot portal and what you can see and how they interacted with your pages, how long they were on a page, how they got there. All that data can help you hyper target them further. And it's not in a way that's like ads that are just like spilling over you once you click one thing on Instagram, or like weirdly when I talk about Kind Bar in the universe and then I get a Kind Bar ad, I swear I didn't click on anything. Somehow they know. But the idea behind that is not to be that in your face, almost outbound approach. But the idea is that to have such an idea of what your consumers and users are interacting with, that you can serve up the content that they're looking for, and when they're ready, they have a very easy way to fill out a form, convert, and get more information. So I'll just go back to the HubSpot portal and actually show you where you can see a lot of that data. Again, this is similar to Google Analytics. This is our traffic analytics app. You feel free, everyone, still use Google Analytics, but you also have the option to stay within HubSpot and view all the data here directly connected to your prospects and the contacts that are in the portal. So for example, this is just like similar to Google Analytics. Where's all your traffic coming from? All the different sources, how many sessions, and even better, how many new contacts did you get? How many did you convert? And you can click on that page and actually see the individual contacts and dive deeper into their contact record. But even more, you get all this information about them, how they came in, what was their first conversion, and then a recent conversion. So that's like another form that they filled out at some point. You can drill in a bit more on topic clusters. So this is kind of a different SEO strategy, the topic cluster strategy that we allow you all to leverage in the HubSpot portal as well. You can look at specific pages. What are the best performing pages? And then make decisions and make iterations based on that. If you're finding that you're putting a lot of ad money and ad spend toward a page and it's not performing that highly, you're going to want to make some different, some adjustments and maybe make it more similar to a page that is performing more highly. Again, these are all coming out, device type, countries. These are in beta, meaning they're newly released. Again, we're always adding in and updating our CMS at the times. Finally, I will peek into a contact record just to show you how creepy we can get and how much data we can see on a contact record. So what I'm sharing right now is in HubSpot, you have a full database of individual contacts, first name, last name, email usually is the main identifier that you'll see. So this person, Stephen Brady, is one of our contacts. I just clicked his name and I'm brought here to his full activity timeline, activity history. And we can see all the pages that he's visited, the date and the time that he was on them, along with every other engagement he has. Like if he's part of a list in our portal, another page view, he submitted this specific form, and we can drill down and we can see the properties in the form, the answers that he gave in that specific form. Analytics activity. So we have behavioral events. So if there's a specific event, like a login button you have on your website, we can track if Stephen Brady clicked that login page. Something I find very useful for customers is called abandoned cart. So if you have a product page and folks are putting something in their cart and then they actually don't end up buying, they leave that page, you can have a lot of triggers and automation set up to send them some reminders like, hey, were you still interested in this? And that can push them to fully convert and purchase. So I think we've all been part of that when we fill out a shopping cart on Target or Amazon or anything and then leave, you'll likely get an email from Target just being like, hey, still want to purchase that? Look how easy it is. You can do it directly from this email. So we're doing the same thing here. All right. So those were the basics of the demo and the portal. For next steps on really what you can do if after today you decide, hey, I need to go convince my business to reinvest in our website, iterate and optimize our website, there's a few things. There is a free growth-driven design certificate on growth-drivendesign.com that you can take. And it gives you it lets you become an expert and really help you be the driver for a website relaunch or launch. That investment piece, when you're trying to build the case to update or move to a different CMS platform, you'll need data. So you can run your website through a website grader. This one is HubSpot's. So you can do that. Again, Google Page Insights. There's a lot out there. There's two apps that we integrate with, Hotjar and Lucky Orange, that offer a heat map on your website. So it gives you a look of exactly like where your users are moving their mouse and what they're clicking on in your website, and you can optimize pages that way. Again, we integrate with that. And finally, we have our own HubSpot Certified Growth Driven Design course that gives you all the foundations of the GDD certificate, but with the element of the HubSpot CMS and how it can directly enable you to build your website in a growth-driven design manner. And finally, if you're already using a CMS or if you're using HubSpot CMS and you want to optimize, look how you're generating leads now. Are you getting leads mostly from forms, pop-up forms? There's a live chat that is easily enabled from the HubSpot CMS you can put on your site. Even not if your site is not even hosted on CMS, you can still use all of these things and get the leads right into HubSpot. Imagine if you also had the CMS, how much more integrated and seamless that would be. And finally, grow your traffic with those items I just shared, traffic analytics, page performance, and then a piece called contact attribution, which is a pre-built report in HubSpot. I actually do want to show you this because it gives you so much rich data, and HubSpot builds it for you and takes in all the data. So I'm just going to switch screens again and bring you to that report. Yeah, if you've never seen a HubSpot portal, this would be like one of my consultation calls where I'll be like, and we're going here, and then you go to the report library, and on the left you have all of these options for pre-built reports. We're going to find the contact rate attribution one, and it allows you to answer these questions right here. What traffic created the most contacts? What type of content created the most contacts? And that's all, that data is live and real. It just built for you, taking from your website. So all those reports, I mean, there's a host of them. Look at all the reports we can get here. Conversion reports, e-commerce, email engagement, all those reports are already available for you. Of course, can create custom ones, but I love starting with this report builder and then manipulating the data as you need. So we'll just take a quick look at like what content is bringing in the most contacts. So essentially it's like what's driving the most conversions. This is a pie chart, can be viewed in a lot of different ways. You can change it up. Again, it's very dynamic, but ultimately what we're seeing here is that landing pages are bringing in the most contacts, about 24,000 contacts. What timeline are we looking at in the last year? So you can get a list. And why I like this is, let's say you put a lot of money toward ads this year, but why are ads at the bottom of the list in generating contacts? Clearly that's something you got to change here and update your strategy a bit. So all of those reports are pre-built for you. And again, even if you don't have HubSpot CMS, but this is enabled for your external CMS, you will still get those reports and be able to see the traffic on your site. We just add a HubSpot tracking code to your site, just like the Google Analytics tracking code. Okay. And finally, as we kind of close out, looking at traditional CMS versus a modern CMS, I think the biggest things with the traditional ones that you might have issues with is the high amount of maintenance that you need, low amount of security that's available, the gatekeepers, if there's a lot of approvals you need to go to change something on your site, or just having to go through the developers. Again, one size fits none, so you have to make it very customizable and dynamic, so change with the times and with your consumers. Reporting is not always clear, but as you saw, you can trust the HubSpot reports that are pre-built because they are just using the data from the system. And finally, modern CMS is more of a service as a software, a SaaS, so that full holistic view, the flywheel, empowering your team. I like to say I like empower marketers to take control of their website. The personalized experiences with the adaptive testing, the smart content, changing the content based on the users, where they're coming from, or what other data you have in your CRM. And then understanding your ROI, like we just saw with the contact attribution, what part of your website is really driving traffic. Of course, that's where HubSpot CMS fits. You can always go to our Inspire page, inspire.hubspot.com. Those are all examples in the delight phase, where all our case studies sit, of other websites that are built on HubSpot CMS. And you can see how dynamic and pretty, user-friendly, how everything we've said, you can see how those are looking like there. All right, I think that is the end of my presentation side of things. So Angelique, I will hand it back to you for these last two slides, and then finally the Q&A. Does that sound good?
That sounds great. Thank you. Can you pull back?
Yeah. Hold on. This one.
Excellent. So thank you, everyone, for attending. And thank you so much, Rachel, for taking the time today to present. What a great topic. I know I personally love the HubSpot CMS. We use it for our own website, and it's just so easy to use. We can't help but, sing its praises. I am going to put in the chat the link to the NPS survey. We really appreciate feedback on these Hug events so that we can improve them as we do our next event. So if you can just take a minute and fill out that link in the chat, that would be wonderful. Also, if there's any questions that you have after today, there's multiple ways that you can connect. There's the HubSpot Academy. You can reach out to me and my company. We're in Verve Marketing. So those links are in this presentation, and we will be emailing this out. Rachel, if you can go to the next slide for me. Save the date, guys. Our next Hug is going to be August 26th. Again, it's going to be kind of a lunch and learn setup, so 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We don't actually have a topic set up yet. We are always interested to know what you guys want to hear about, though. So if you have any ideas or things that you are particularly interested in, please reach out and get in touch. You can also check out any of our upcoming events at events.hubspot.com/Lansing. Or if you're looking for a wide variety of topics, there are multiple hugs that are all doing events and presentations throughout the quarters. So feel free to check that out. Let's go ahead and transition to the Q&A portion. What questions do you guys have?
Yeah, anything about the tool, I'm happy to dive back into the portal if you wanted to take a look at something more specific or just general website, the office questions.
We'll give it just a second in case someone's formulating their question. We've got one in chat.
Does the attribution report exist in Marketing Pro? Yes, that contact attribution report is in Marketing Pro. Good question. There are, you may have asked that because there are some other attribution reports unique to Marketing Enterprise, revenue and deal create attribution reports, but that contact one is Marketing Pro. Is there support to help me build a site? So, I mean, there are different paths that you can take. It depends where you are at the moment. Usually what I've seen with my customers is they have an existing website for their business and they want to move to the HubSpot CMS. So depending on how complex their existing site is and how many pages, we usually can set them up with one of our partners that are experts in HubSpot CMS that do migration support. And it can go through the partner route. HubSpot itself does provide a service for migrations as well. So if you want to go through HubSpot, we have that option too. And then again, the development of themes, which is probably the crux of the start of building the site and then handing it off to marketers. That is more the developer route where HubSpot can definitely have resources to provide your developer support, but you would need either in-house or third-party developers to come in and build, you know, do the upfront work, build those themes.
Yeah, and as Rachel was saying, we actually are a partner that does build HubSpot CMS websites. There's a reason we're so passionate about it. We do have another question.
As a marketing director, how much do I need to know about web design to work in the hub? That's what I love about it. You do not need design, coding, UX knowledge to do anything that I just showed in the portal. Like I said, to actually get to the point where you can just make changes yourself and work on anything, you would need that developer design knowledge in the upfront, whether, partners like we have here, or just other technical developer team to make those themes and make those pages. But as a director, I would say just a general knowledge of SEO, growth-driven design, and just user experience unique to your business are the main things that a director should know, and then have the ability to view those reports. Good question.
You're welcome, Jennifer. Any other questions?
How does e-commerce work with CMS? I currently have a WordPress site with WooCommerce. Good question. So I believe, I just have to double check, we do integrate with WooCommerce, meaning if you have WooCommerce and you also have a HubSpot CMS subscription, there is the integration that you can connect where the data from your e-commerce site can feed into HubSpot. So anytime a contact purchases on WooCommerce, that data will go on the contact record. It could come in different ways. We have like a separate object for products or deals, and the amount can all get connected to the contact. So it is like a holistic view you get. Any purchases get fed into the HubSpot platform, all driven by the actual contact record and the purchase that they make, and how their email actually gets into HubSpot in the first place, so we can make those connections. But yeah, that's a really good question. I think we have a lot of customers that integrate with Shopify as well. It's another one. So similar situation, have their e-commerce site on Shopify and have it connected to HubSpot. So all the product purchases are fed into the CRM onto the contact record.
We do question in the Q&A section now.
See that? Is there a recent update that you wish everyone would know more about? Related to the CMS, I think the biggest one was the update to the SEO, to the algorithm update that came out in May. So our SEO tools are now first and foremost focused on those core web vitals. So any SEO recommendations that you see through the site, those are kind of lifted up to the upfront, the user experience one, the security and the performance recommendations. So that was something we released just in May to coincide with the Google algorithm update. So our CMS users can go make those changes and make sure they're most optimized to this algorithm change. Any other updates coming down the pike? I mean, general in HubSpot, happy to share. We did launch a new hub, Operations Hub. While yeah, it's not part of CMS, it is. I mean, all our hubs like work in unison, and we want them to work in unison. But it's meant for like marketing operations folks to be able to organize and segment their data within HubSpot more clearly. So that's huge. So if you are a CMS customer, have a CMS portal, you add an Operations Hub, it makes your data a lot more clean and makes your internal processes more efficient. You'll probably see a hug on that very soon, if not already this week in some other location.
Any other questions? Well, I am just going to rep one more time that, again, we're so happy that we were able to participate in 75 hugs in 5 days. Insane amount of great knowledge that went on this week, and it's still going. There are more hugs yet today and some tomorrow. You can check out events.hubspot.com if you're interested in checking out any of the other hug events. And with that, thank you again, everyone, for attending. And thank you again, Rachel.
Of course. Thank you, Angelique. Thank you, everyone, for attending. Your great questions. Really appreciate it. Yeah, find me on LinkedIn. Happy to connect. Keep chatting about CMS Hub.
Have a great rest of your day.
Take care, everyone.